April 17, 1943. Washington, D.C., inside a dimly lit naval operations room, the low hum of machinery and the rhythmic click of telegraph keys filled the air. Rows of young women, clad in crisp navy blue Waves uniforms, hunched over consoles, earphones snug over their ears, pencils poised above graph paper. Among them, a fresh-faced secretary named Winnie Churchill moved with quiet determination, her fingers tracing frequency charts, eyes darting between the oscilloscopes and radio bearings displayed on her workstation. The room smelled of ink, metal, and the faint tang of soldering, punctuated by the occasional buzz of a distant generator. On the walls, clocks ticked in sync with distant time zones, London, New York, and the restless North Atlantic. Each tick carried a weight, for somewhere out there, beneath the cold, gray waves, German U-boats were prowling, hunting merchant convoys, invisible yet deadly. Winnie adjusted the headphones and leaned closer to the speaker. A low, intermittent static filled the room, punctuated by a sharp, unmistakable signal. Her heart thumped as she jotted down the angles, triangulating with her colleagues, whispering numbers under her breath. Her hands moved almost instinctively, plotting exact coordinates on the grid map sprawled across the table. "These bearings, they're lining up perfectly," muttered Petty Officer Helen Myers, her voice tight with disbelief. Around her, other waves murmured in awe. Nobody spoke of it too loudly, the stakes were too high. Yet, each woman knew the significance. The Allies were now tracking U-boats with unprecedented precision. German commanders would soon wonder how their once invincible submarines were being hunted so relentlessly, unaware that the secret lay in the hands of young American women, working quietly behind the front lines. The radio crackled again. This time, a new set of tones, irregular, faster, as if the enemy sensed change. Winnie's pencil danced across the paper. Each mark was a silent act of defiance, a step toward tipping the balance of the Atlantic War. The operators around her didn't need to speak, the tension was mutual. Every second, every beep could translate into a merchant ship saved, a convoy rerouted, or a U-boat sinking beneath the waves. April 18, 1943. Roughly 300 miles off the coast of Iceland. The cold North Atlantic rolled beneath the hull of USS Bory, waves crashing over the deck in icy sprays that seeped into every seam of the steel ship. The lookouts, binoculars fogged from breath and salt, scanned the horizon with taut vigilance. Below, sonar operators hunched over panels, fingers brushing knobs and dials, listening for the telltale hum of submerged engines. Captain James Hollister, a seasoned commander with graying temples and eyes like flint, studied the latest dispatch. The coordinates, scrawled hastily on a yellowed piece of paper, came directly from the Waves office in Washington, exact positions of enemy submarines reported hours before. He ran a hand over his stubbled jaw, disbelief and cautious excitement mixing in equal measure. "Signals coming from a wolf-pack cluster," his executive officer noted, pointing at the map. "They'll never expect us to know this far ahead." On the bridge, sailors tightened ropes, bracing for rough swells. Depth charges were primed, and the engines thrummed with nervous energy, ready to chase a shadow beneath the waves. Far above, the gray clouds pressed down, blurring the horizon and lending a spectral silence to the hunt. Every officer, every sailor, every man on deck trusted the invisible hand of intelligence that guided them. Back in Washington, Winnie's ears were still glued to the radio as she confirmed bearings with lightning speed. A signal from Bory crackled faintly, confirming the coordinates had reached their target. Her stomach fluttered. Somewhere in the icy Atlantic, the German crew of U-256 would be moving unknowingly into a trap carefully laid by calculations made on a desk thousands of miles away, by women, secretaries, and analysts no enemy could imagine. The sea rumbled, the ship shuddered, and far below, sonar pings echoed ominously. The hunt, once abstract and invisible, was now a living, breathing thing. April 18, 1943. The icy Atlantic churned like a restless beast, waves hammering USS Bory as if aware of the deadly game unfolding beneath. Captain Hollister's eyes narrowed as the sonar operator stiffened, fingers frozen mid-knob. The faint, irregular hum of a U-boat's diesel engine floated through the water like a ghost, unmistakable, vulnerable. Contact. Bearing 210 degrees, the sonar operator shouted. The deck erupted into controlled chaos. Sailors moved with precision, loading depth charges and adjusting the ship's course to intercept. Every movement was synchronized, rehearsed, yet fueled by adrenaline, a deadly ballet orchestrated thousands of miles away by unseen hands in Washington. Meanwhile, in the Waves plotting room, Winnie Churchill's heart raced as she confirmed the final triangulation. Lines intersected with terrifying accuracy. The coordinates she and her colleagues had plotted would bring Bori directly over the unsuspecting U-256. For a moment, she imagined the crew below, oblivious, believing themselves safe in the vast, gray ocean. Bori crested a monstrous wave, and Captain Hollister gave the order, "Drop them." Explosions erupted beneath the waves, and the submarine shuddered violently, caught in a precise net of Allied strategy. Sonar pings faltered, the hum of engines stuttered. Silence followed, broken only by the roar of the sea. On the bridge, sailors exchanged incredulous glances. They had struck with precision, with a force that seemed almost supernatural, but it was the unseen hands of the waves who had drawn the map, traced the lines, and guided them. Far away, in the dim glow of the plotting room, Winnie allowed herself a moment of quiet relief. She scribbled her final notes, the map now marked with the fruits of hours of meticulous work. The Germans could not fathom it. A young American secretary, a room full of women analysts, had exposed their exact locations with nothing but radio signals, pencils, and intelligence that transformed the tides of war. The Allies' secret weapon was not a new battleship or a bomb, it was minds honed for precision, courage, and unyielding focus. Across the Atlantic, convoys were saved, lives spared, and the invisible battle beneath the waves tilted in favor of the Allies, all because someone had listened, plotted, and acted when no one expected it. In the annals of naval warfare, the story of U-boat hunts is often told in terms of steel, torpedoes, and sonar. Yet behind every victory, behind every sinking, was a quieter heroism, women like Winnie, who turned signals into strategy, paper into power, and ordinary desks into instruments of extraordinary impact. The Atlantic remained.